Hey everyone. It's so funny today the way everything is going, and uh, to tell you the truth, I really don't. I didn't want to really talk about this, or because I know exactly what I need to say, and it is what it is. So, how's everyone doing? This is Rashida Malade Sule. I've actually been trying to get through on my phone, and that something that I don't have an issue with to get on every single day. But all of a sudden, it's just so hard and complicated to get on today. And I know exactly what's going on. So I'm not really going to stress over it. And I'll keep trying to get on. Let me see if I can invite myself. Let's see if I can invite myself. Invite. Okay. Okay. And if you're watching, if you're on, if you can just share this with other people as well. We are going to have a real serious conversation, and it's well overdue. Have this conversation about what's really going on out in the world right now. Many of us just really feel that it's black, it's white, it's this, is that. It's more than just that. So please, 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 if you're watching, invite other people. I'm waiting in order to just invite myself over here, actually, so I can move closer to where you'll be able to see me properly. Okay. Let me see if I can take that. It's so funny the way that people just say that, oh no, these things are not as we think they are. Really? And I'm still inviting myself, and it's still not. Well, I am hosting it. Worst case scenario, I'll just do it from right here. If this is what is actually going down, let me try and see and try to use it again. It's not going through. I usually do all of my StreamYard videos from, I'll host it on my laptop, but I'll, talk about it from my phone so I can have a better view. But for some reason, guys, it's not going through. Talk about spiritual attacks or spiritual stuff happening. I tell people, whether you believe it or not, it doesn't really matter. It exists because we are spiritual being in a physical body. We are spirits in a physical body. So you know what? Maybe I should just take this too. I'll take this. When there's a will, there is a way. And today is the day for me to have this conversation because I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do it again. Oh, sorry, guys. All of this was done. Can you imagine the phone? Everything was done until the phone refuses to go through, and that's okay. I still have this, and I'm going to use my laptop, and we are going to have a conversation about what's really going on here. So excuse everything that's happening. We are just going to have to work with what we have. Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to work with what we have. We're going to work with what we have. The word is going to get out today. understand all of this. I really do. Like whoever don't understand spiritual things really cannot understand what I'm trying to say here. So I hope I'm a little bit much clearer. Okay. Whew. All right. I'm not in a rush. So if you're working, you can always get the replay, but I'm not in a rush. Mm. I'm not in a rush. Oh. So in order not to be all over the place, I had to write some of these things down because I want us to really get the importance of what's going on here. And there's an attack on all of us, really. It's an attack on all of us. If you hear me clearly, if you can just let me know that you hear me clearly. Are you here? Do you hear me clearly? Okay. I know some of you will have to go back to work and you can get the replay on this later. What I am trying to say, I'm really not asking for someone to agree with me. That's not what this is about. But I'm not going to waste too much of your time. I'm going to go right into what this is truly all about. My insides are literally shaking, and shaking in a way where my tone is even shaken. And this is not really the Rashida that's really the happy-go-lucky that you guys are used to. But this has to be said. There was a video that I did a couple of days ago, and this is the reason why I like to do lives, because on a live, once it's done, it's done. On a video, if I choose to send it, I can send it. And if I choose not to send it, you know, I just won't. But this one has to be done live. And okay. So I hope many of you, oh, by the way, I went to go vote today. Please do that. That's one thing that's our voice that we need to exercise that. Please go and do that. As many of you may know, and if you don't know, there's something called generational blessings and generational curses. Okay. You have generational blessings, we have generational curses. And God has the solution to all generational curses. As we know, the world is created. Though many of you would say there is no God, there is a God. When you look at the wonders of a human being and the way that we are created, you have to know that there is an amazing force, spirit, God, whatever it is that you want to call it, that's out there that made us the way he made us. Okay. Many of you probably hear that our palms, there's no palm that, or fingerprint that's the same. Can you imagine with the billions of people in the world, our fingerprints are not the same. Even twins, you have twins, their fingerprints are not the same. That's what we say when we say there is a God. There is a spirit, there's a source that has created us in a way that we are all not the same, right? We're all not the same. I'm going to start from as a child. as a child, as a young girl living in Brooklyn, at the time, at maybe my age of 11, 12, 10, 11, 12. In my elementary school, I went to a private school, right? And we lived in Brooklyn, in Ebbsfield, in Brooklyn. And this is where I noticed a lot of discrimination against being an African from Africa, not an African American. But this is where I experienced discrimination, where I started questioning myself in why are other Black people as myself, why are my Black friends calling me an African booty scratcher? Why are my Black friends calling me an African booty scratcher? You know what? Before I even go any further, because I can sense all the emotions coming on inside me, I'm going to pray. I'm going to first of all pray. Our Father, in the name of your Son, I want to say thank you. And I ask that you strengthen me. What I'm about to do is literally a little bit out of my comfort zone. And I know you already know this, but I ask that you would give me the strength and the power to be able to speak what you've asked me to speak. And for people that do understand, for them to make use of it and to understand that it's not coming from me, it's coming from you. Strengthen me, Lord God. Protect me. Protect my home, my family, my children, my husband, parents, and siblings. Amen. Okay. So as a child, as a young girl, they grew up in Brooklyn. Okay. I used to always wonder, why are the people that have my same skin color saying things about me or calling me an African booty scratcher or, stuff like that. Sorry, I keep messing with my hair. It's like, why are they doing that? I didn't understand that. And I will go home and I sort of kind of asked my parents, but I thought it was more of maybe just bullying or being bullied. But I didn't understand what African booty scratcher was. I didn't get that memo. I didn't understand what that was. So I usually watched on TV, the children that were going through a lot of stuff. Africa, how children with flies and everything would be all around them. And I used to wonder, I used to ask my parents, like, is that the Africa where we're from? I used to wonder, ask my dad, like, why do my friends, why do they make fun of the way mommy and daddy speak? Why do you guys sound like that anyway? And they would tell me, we're from Nigeria, we're this, we're that. And I'm like, okay. But when my dad come to school and pick me up and he calls my name, Rashida, my friend was like, where your father from? Like, he's from Africa. Oh, wow, you guys sleep on trees in Africa? You do this, you do. And the thing is, as a child, I did not understand any of that. Like, I was not taught that we were from Africa or we were different from the rest of the people in the community. And I used to get upset at my friends. And then it caused me to have this rage inside me when I was younger, and I would fight them. Whenever they called me African booty scratcher, or they said that my parents go boobula, 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 I used to get upset. I used to be pissed because I thought that was not fair. But then again, inside me, I used to wonder, why do my parents talk like that? My mom used to sit me down and tell me, Rashida, don't worry, you're from a very good home in Nigeria. We are just here just to, go to school, get education, and make money. We go back home, and I used to feel like home, you know. But it got me curious to know why I was being called African booty scratcher. Like, I used to ask my mom, like, you scratch our booties? They said we sleep on trees. So as a child, it's bad enough that it was like this black on black thing at the time. Like I said, I did not understand. I was only 11 or 12. But I thank God that when my parents noticed that my fightings in school, I began to fight in school. You call me African booty scratcher. I was going to scratch your booty. I was going to show you. I was going to show you. So we'll fight. And then I became friends with a lot of Jamaicans. And, the African Americans were a bit afraid of Jamaicans because Jamaicans, they die for you trying to call them a kind of name, or you try to, even the way they speak alone, you'd be like, you know what, I don't want to mess with this dude, Please, they were my friends. They were my friends. And eventually, I guess my parents got really sick and tired of the fighting and everything that was going on, or me not even understanding where I came from, the questions I was asking them, and wanting to know where I'm from. So at the age of, I think my late 12s, my parents took me back to Nigeria, and my dad was literally like, he wanted me to know where I was from as the first child of many. They needed me to know where I was from, to understand where I was from and all that good stuff, and to know that where we're from, there's culture, there's this, there's that. I went to Nigeria. Getting to Nigeria, it was nice to see a lot of Black people that loved, they loved me, they accepted me. I met my cousins and all of that good stuff. Okay. Coming back in Nigeria, while I was in Nigeria, for some reason, the low self-esteem that I had in America, I didn't have that in Nigeria. My self-esteem in Nigeria was out the window. My self-esteem was strong in Nigeria. Why? Because there was no calling of names. I was in I was in Nigeria. There was nobody calling me names. There was nobody hurting my feelings. There was nobody saying that my father and my mother talk bubala bubala. There was none of that. There was no Black kids making fun of me. Everybody, it was just one happy family. Everybody loved up on you. You grew. I was growing in a very, very healthy environment. I was growing in a healthy environment. Okay. I was growing in a very healthy environment. That helped my self-esteem. It helped me to know who I am, and it helped me to really understand what my parents were talking about, that, we come from a very good home. We don't, so, but I still did not understand the story of African Americans. I didn't understand why it seemed as some of them, or a lot of them, was so angry. I did not understand why the name calling, why the putting down, when we are all of the same color. I didn't understand that. But I knew that Nigeria felt good. I knew that, it was good to see home. It was good to say, okay, this is where I'm from. Do you understand? So coming back to America, In Nigeria, again, I learned how to be very respectful, because when you see other people respectful towards parents, it was just natural for you to do what they were doing. Like, not doing what they were doing, you were the odd one out. So I couldn't come and say, oh, in America, we don't kneel down. We don't know. I was doing what they were doing. You know, I greeted parents. I greeted anyone that I knew was older. I greeted everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I did it with such joy because it was just appropriate for a child to be respectful. And I learned that in Nigeria. Coming back, my parents were so shocked. They was like, is this Rashida? Because this was the tough Rashida. This was the Rashida that was fighting all the time, because I was not going to stand disrespect my parents, or you disrespect me, or you try to say I'm sleeping on trees, I'm African. I was not trying to have that. I was not trying to have that. I was not. So coming back, my dad was like, I wake up in the morning. I woke up very early in the morning. I cook for my parents, you know. I greet my mom and my dad. My dad he was like, what? Eh? If Rashida can be like this, oh my. Oh my. He literally eventually told my mom, get yourself ready, pack these children, because the rest of them are going to Nigeria. If Rashida can be like this, if Rashida can be like this. And that's how, after I spent 2 years in America, that's how my mom and the rest of us, again, went back to Nigeria. What a difference in community. What a community can do to a child. What a community can build in a child. So my parents seeing that, the rest of us went back home to Nigeria. Okay. We had such a great time. We went to schools. Then eventually we all came back one by one. Now, that experience just helped me to say to myself that I don't want to be with anybody who's going to be insulting me because I came from a different country. My country is beautiful. The people in my country are kind. The people in my country are loving. The people in my country are, they are educational prone. They believe in education. They believe in marriage. They believe in, core values. So because of that, I really didn't have a lot of African American friends. Again, I really didn't understand where they were coming from. As a young child, we watched a movie called Roots. And please, if you've never seen the movie called Roots, go and find it. Roots. It helped me to understand that the African Americans that are here were not brought here willfully. It helped me to understand why Africans that are here, that traveled here, that did not come on a boat or as slaves, the reason why they were the way they were. Roots opened up my eyes to see that we, the African nation, the Africans in Africa, I can't even say we gave our own away, because I want to say that maybe we were naive. We really didn't understand the real implication of what we were doing. We were tricked. The video that I did a couple of days ago, that I'm going to eventually upload, I explained that. And to all my Caucasian friends, I want to first of all apologize to you guys if I'm addressing you guys as white and I'm saying black and I'm, all this color, because I need you guys to understand, is the reason why I'm going to say it that way, okay? I need everyone that's listening to this, watching this video, understand what I'm trying to say. So, white, my black people, because you see some black people that says I'm not black. Black is a color. I'm going to get to all of that. I'm not black. Okay. So basically what happened was that white people came to Africa, right? They came to Africa and they didn't just come into our villages. No. They didn't just come into our villages, because in the village, there was a lot of black, strong fighters. And you couldn't break into villages like that, right? So this is what they did. I was looking for my key. I can't find my key. So I'm going to use something else. Let me use this water. So the white people came into Africa, and they didn't just come in and grabbed our own and put them on a boat and left. What they did instead was that they creeped, they hid, some in the bushes and stuff like that, right? And they looked at us and we looked at them. We've never seen something like that before. Their skin was like milk that we'd never seen before. Their skin was different from ours. To us, maybe the Africans in Africa, they probably thought, who are these people? Like, are they people? And even though the Africans then were hunters and fighters, they didn't just take them and kill them. They wanted to know, who are these people? Why are they different color from us? Why? We were just wondering. And they called us to come. And they came, whether one, whether two. And then they will show them. And then maybe the African prince or something at the time would touch, maybe they touch whatever weapon the white people were holding on to. Or they saw the white people with bottled water and they touched the bottled water like, what is this? And the white man is like, oh, this? You like this? You want this? Okay, if you want this, I'll give you this. But where are the rest of you? Show me where the rest of you guys are. You want this, right? Okay, I'll give you this. But where are the rest of you? And then the black boy doesn't know the plans. He doesn't know the plans or the intention of the white guy. So he takes the white guy to where maybe him and his friends or something like that. Or he takes this to his friends and he tells his friends that they should come. There's more where this came from. Let's go, let's go. And him and his friends, they now go to where the white man is that gave him the water. You understand? And from there, all of them get captured and thrown into a boat. Okay, this video is going to be long, so please don't. There's no editing in this one. So, because I don't only just want the Black people to understand or just the white people to understand. I want Chinese to understand. They say they're yellow, right? So we're Black, the whites are white, the Caucasians are white, the Indians are what? Red. The, what is it? The Chinese are yellow. Colors. So I am saying that African Americans are very, very angry. And they have a right to be. Not because they were just taken away from Africa, but because their ancestors are still very, very angry. You will notice that as this protest and everything is going on, Africans from Africa, though we know what's going on is very wrong, because it's not only African Americans it's happening to, it's happening to Black as a whole. But the African Americans will be, they are just very upset, and they have a right to be. I'm going to go into what I wrote because I know myself. I don't want a situation where I get too emotional that I'm not able to really, really get out what you need to hear and what you need to understand about what's going on out there. How did slavery come about? I just gave you a snippet of how Blacks were sold. Some of them were sold. Some of them were stripped out of Africa, ripped away from their family, from their friends, from the world that they knew that was safe, from the environment that they knew that was safe. They were ripped out of there. They were forcefully brought to different countries, majority America. Many that were betrayed by family and friends that sold them to the white man. Cursed. While they were in the boat, they were cursing the person that did that to them. They were literally cursing the person that allowed them to be sold. I started off with generational curse and generational blessings. Somebody sold you off. You're now suffering in the boat, going through so much because they don't understand our color, even though they've actually done their research before they came to get the Black people. They did their research. They knew that we are strong. They knew we are strong. They brought us over. They brought African Americans over. They used them as slaves. And I have to really explain this story because a lot of people don't understand. They still look at black African American like, why are they so angry? Why they talk angry? They sing angry. Everything is so emotional. Everything is so angry. It's because you don't understand their story. And when you don't understand someone's story and you're looking at it from just your eyeballs, it's easy for you to say whatever it is that's convenient for you to say. People that were once very happy were ripped and stripped away from their families, from their home, to become slaves in another man's land. And do you think while you're forcing princes and kings and to become slaves in another man's land, they're just going to be praying for you? These slaves, they slept angry, woke up angry. When they spoke in anger. The ones that were once kings now became slaves. Some of you may say, well, they need to get over that already. They need to move on. And this is the reason why I come with an angry spirit. Don't just move on. The African American that you see today are the descendants of slaves. Africans that were brought here to become slaves. They are their descendants. If you're a Christian, do you remember the story of Jabez? The story of Jabez, how his pregnancy was so hard for his mother. And while she was pregnant, inside of her, while she was pregnant, that child was inside of her, she cursed his destiny. She cursed the child, the unborn child. She cursed it. And that child came forth, Jabez. Things were just hard for him. Things were just complicated. Things was just like, my God, why is my life so hard? Why can't I just get things done? Why can't I just have a breakthrough? Why? Until what happened? When did his breakthrough come through? When he prayed. He's the one that prayed, oh, that you will bless me and enlarge my territory, that you'll always be with me. He prayed. He prayed. And God did what? God answered. Jabez was a menace to society. He was a menace to society. But he prayed. And God answered. African Americans that were stripped out of their homes and brought to America remained angry. They cursed the land. They cursed family members that betrayed them. They cursed friends that betrayed them. That's why when you look at Africa today, look at some places in Africa and wonder, why are certain places like this? Why are certain families like this? Why are certain... Now bring it back to America where the slaves were. So the slaves now, they continually said, One day they will be free. One day they will be free. But before they became free, many had died. They didn't die free will. Many were beaten to death. Many were shot. Many were raped. That anger, and then you're raped, and to give birth to a child of your master. There wasn't no abortion. Then what abortion? There was no abortion. There was no abortion. They gave birth to these children. Can you imagine the pregnancy inside of someone that's it's not a love child. It's a child that you had to bring into the world. You had no choice. I say all of that to say, when you do not understand where today's African Americans' anger come from, go back and check their ancestors. So about 3 years ago, I came across a preacher man who was talking about territorial spirits. At the time, though I'm a Christian, I did not understand territorial spirits, because depending on what church you go to determines the information that you get. And if you don't read your Bible well enough and for the Spirit of God to translate what you're reading to you, you're not going to understand that there are things in this world that some choose not to understand, and some know and they want to know more, and some out of fear just don't want to go into that area of it. You understand? Some just don't want to go into that area of it. So a lot of times it's some really don't want to understand. But you have no choice but to try to understand. Because if you don't try to understand, you don't know when it's going to be at your doorstep. You don't know when it's going to come knocking on your doorstep. So you have to be able to understand so that you can have some type of empathy and be sensitive, and to know what you can do to help the situation. Because at the end of this video, I am literally asking for intercessors. That's what I'm asking for. Do you know that different cities carry different spirits? We would think that we're literally fighting physical warfare. This warfare is not physical, it's literally spiritual. And you cannot use physical to fight spiritual and think that you've won a war. You probably win the fight today, but the spirit that you did not kill lives to fight another day. The African Americans have been trying to fight this war. They've gone through a lot, even through the hands of Africans who came to this country willingly. Because of the slaves, because of their descendants, is the reason why many Africans from Africa are able to come here. Though the discrimination is still there, but we know how to maneuver ourselves around it. Why? Because our brain is, we're not here to stay. Whatever you do, that's your problem. You want us to sit down? Okay, no problem. You want us to get up? Okay, no problem. You know why? Because to us, we're just here for let's work, make our money, and be gone back to our country. Now, if you're a true African from Africa, you know that's what your thought process is. I'm gonna do what I need to do in order to make that cash because I have family that I need to take care of back home. I have a land that I want to buy. I have a home that I want to build. I have things to do. I don't have time for these people. I'm not here to do discrimination, black, white, white. I know where I'm from. I can't deal with this. So if a white man even try to oppress you in any kind of way, that doesn't bother you. Some of you don't care because naturally you feel you're going back to your country anyway. I'm not here to stay. I didn't come here to come and sit down and be dealing with what's black, what's white, what's this, what's that, what you got. I don't have time for that. That's the mentality of a lot of our Africans that willfully came here. Many of them that I know, that they're going through the discrimination at the job. But you know what? That mighty dollar would never allow them to put in paperwork to say that they're being discriminated against. The mighty dollar. Because when they calculate $1 to, how much is Naira now? 400 or something Naira? Ain't none of them. When they think about their bills and their mortgage and what they need to do with money, they're not going to fight no doggone system. Because to them, mentally, this is not the system that they really care about much. If the worst, you hear some of them say, if the worst come to the worst, I'll just pack my load and go back to where I come from. Which is the wrong mentality. So if you hate me right now, that's okay. That's okay. Because what is called being our brother and our keeper? It's important. Because you see, what's not fighting you now, or what you're not dealing with now, will eventually fight your children. Or your children's children. Why? Because many of us come here from Africa with the mindset of, and this is the reason why, this is the real reason why you don't see Black folks doing things together. This is the reason why there's not a whole lot of Black community that are growing as a whole. This is one of the reasons why. Because when I'm making my money to build my kingdom back where I'm from, you understand? And you making your money in order to try to build a better community in America. And I'm not trying to put my holy dollar in that stuff because I'm not about America. I'm about going back to Nigeria. I'm about going back to Ghana. I'm about going back to Sierra Leone. I'm about going back home. There's always going to be division. So I say it once again that we are not fighting all things physically. The biggest thing that we're fighting is spiritual things with physical, in a physical way. Do you know that there's a spiritual king that is controlling each racial group? There's a spiritual king that is controlling each racial group because different racial groups have different satanic powers over them. And in dealing with that racial group, it's important to identify the power that is over each group. Each group have a spiritual power. that is fighting. The whites' spiritual power is they want to dominate everything. They want to control everything. They want to show you that they're superior. That's their spiritual, satanic spiritual fight that they're fighting. They don't want that to be taken away from them. Do you know the territorial spirit that's fighting the African Americans? Slavery. Their ancestors came here as a slave. So that slavery spirit is still hovering around. And that spirit is still very angry. Because many of them, when they came here, they thought, you know what? Eventually, we're going to be able to run away. Eventually, everything that we brought here, we'll be able to take back. Eventually, they didn't come here to stay. They didn't want to come here and stay. Let me tell you a little secret. Like I've been saying. We are spirit beings operating in a physical body. That's who we are. That's why there's a saying that says, what you think about, you bring about. Some of you call it deja vu. I've seen this before. I've recognized I've been here before. I've been here before. I've seen this before. I've seen it in a vision. It was in your head. And then you brought it out. You made it, you brought it forth. You brought it into existence. The slaves that were here, the slaves that were, the Africans that were brought here turned slaves or ripped away from family into slavery. Their mindset is one day they will be free. But they didn't want to be free to stay here. They wanted to be free to go back home where they came from. Many of them that eventually became free still thought that freedom will bring them equality, which should have brought them equality. But the territorial spirits that are still fighting us, fighting the blacks, that's upon the whites, that's upon the Indians, that's upon the Jews, it's all spirits. Why do you always think that, we black people will constantly say we need to do things together, we need to come together as a community, we need to do this as one race, one this, one that? Why can we never be one? Why? 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 Equality is beautiful. It's amazing. But when you want to be equal, people that don't want to be equal with you, people that some of them don't even know why they don't want to be equal with you. Some of them, they don't know. They don't know why. Spirits, you have to fight it and find out in the spirit realm. We are spiritual beings. We are spiritual beings. We are spiritual brains. We are spiritual beings. And the spirits of those who were slaves, who died, who suffered, is crying out. Is crying out. This is why their descendants are still very angry. Somebody was asking me, I think years ago, why are we so emotional? Why every time black people talk, we talk angry? I remember sometime my father would just say something like, Dad, I mean, we're not fighting. Like, he has a very deep voice. Some slaves cursed the soils of the land, of this land. There's a greeting that many, either a greeting or prayer that, and I'm going to say it in Nigerian, Yoruba. I don't know if you guys, as you guys from another African country, have something of that saying. The saying that Nigerians that we say is ama ka korio kodele or something like that. That we should bring home everything that you've acquired in this area. So when we come to a different country, when we come to this country, everything that we've acquired, we should bring it back home. One thing I want to say is, and I want to really address the fact that the African Americans that think that Africans are proud, or they think that Africans that came here willfully, that we talk down on them, or we think that they're not important, or we act proud, or we make them feel like they're not a part of us. If you're African American, let me let you know something that I've been saying since. It's just the mindset. I need you to understand that Africans that came here willfully, many of them do not understand the struggles that your forefathers that were stripped out of Africa. Many of them do not understand that. They do not understand what happened. Many do not, they don't. They don't understand. So I'm going to need you to forgive us. They don't understand. Because their mindset is they've come here, they know where they're leaving, where they left their home, they left their family in order to come here, work, take care of home, take care of family, take care. And that's just where their mind is. That's just where their mind is. That's just where their mind is. You understand? So I'm going to need to apologize on their behalf because they don't understand. And then for Africans who are from Africa that came here willfully, I need for us to go watch Roots. I think there's something on Netflix. I think it's 13. Watch these movies, watch these shows, go look for them, watch them. See why these people are the way they are. See why they would die for their freedom. Just because you walk in the streets. Did George Floyd not show us that you can walk the streets acting like you're free? But at the end of the day, that spirit that wants to dominate and break your spirit will find a way to find you. And this is the reason why we are crying out. And one thing I want you to know is that don't think because you're not African American, so they see you differently. It's a spirit. It's not all white people that's racist. It's not all Black people that are racist. And when I say racist, there's some Black people that they cannot stand the light of day to see an a Caucasian person. But what I'm trying to tell you is that though it seems as if we see color, it is a spiritual warfare. And the only thing that can save us is this. African Americans that are in America, we first of all have to come together and seriously pray. Genuinely pray. Genuinely beg the ancestors to let go of the anger. Beg them. Because whether you get rights or no rights, the slaves that are dead, they don't want to hang out with their master. They don't want to hang out with their master's children. Some of them are still very angry. There was something that Oprah Winfrey said one day. She prayed to her ancestors. She prayed to the strong women that she knew. She prayed. She stood as a strong Black woman, as if she was talking to the slaves, the Black women in her life, the slaves that were in her life to back her up. The ancestral, maybe her ancestors. She prayed that they will back her up and make her into a strong Black woman. Hello, did they not do that? Oprah Winfrey is one of the strongest, if not the. She understands spirits. We need to stop thinking that the physical is going to change this. We need to stop thinking that. Yes, we're angry. And like I said in the beginning, we should be. But if we really want to change, if we really want to see a difference, it first of all starts from us. It starts from you. It starts from me. It starts from loving. It starts from fighting a spiritual warfare in the spirit realm. It starts from begging out the ancestors who were enslaved, who died, begging them to take it easy. We're here now. We're here now. Going back and begging these ancestors, apologizing for what had been done to them. Understanding. Because if it's up to those slaves, they want to fight till they bring down everything in this country. They are pissed. They are angry. They are angry. There's something in Nigeria that we do. I've seen it done. I've seen it done several times where There's a certain type of prayer that they do when someone dies. There's a certain type of prayer that they do yearly to honor a loved one. There's, if you're a twin, there's certain things that they do where they would cook certain beans and corn for those children. They were twins. There's certain things that they do. And I'm thinking that many of us African Americans that are here should rally together. Not more in a statement of crying to our ancestors, letting them know that we understand. We remember what they went through. We can never truly, truly understand. But it was unfair. It was unjust. But they should hold off on the wrath because that anger is affecting their descendants. That anger is pulling us back. That anger is holding us back from moving forward. Because when you're angry, you're blind. Yes, anger is an action. When you're angry, you don't care what happens at that time, who it happens to. You don't care. You're just angry. You're just angry. And every now and then, we can point fingers and say, these people, it's that, those people, it's her, it's him, it's them, it's the white, it's the black, it's the yellow, it's the red. Spiritually, war is being caused amongst us. In order for there not to be peace. And we're looking at it more as a color. It's actually a spirit that wants to dominate. You don't want to be dominated. But the spirit that wants to dominate wants to dominate. So what do we do? What do we do? Do you now look at every white person as the enemy? My sister's married to a white man. His blood are in my nieces. How am I to rip the white away from the black in my nieces? Many children right now in this generation are so mixed. The white has mixed with black. The black has mixed with the white. The Indians have mixed with everybody. We are mixed. But it doesn't mean that the world will eventually be better if many people don't stand in the gap right now and try to fight in the spirit rather than fight in the physical. We can continue to do this in the physical. It's been done. We thank God Martin Luther King did it. We're free. But there's still something fighting us. We're free. We walk around, we do whatever. We got jobs now. Do you know how many Black people are educated in this country? If it was education, we should be the top of everything if it was education. We were taught, get your education. We got it. Now what? Same thing. Have money so you can be a voice. Do you know how many Black people are rich in California? How many basketball players, how many musicians have money galore? And they're still being discriminated against? So obviously, it's not the money. It's not the education, because we got it. So what is that? If we can come together, if someone like Oprah Winfrey will call a rally together, Obama will call a rally. It's not just a rally for a fight. It's not a rally for the government to give us what we deserve. It's a spiritual rally. Spiritual rally. Many of those Black people were brought to the South to be slaves in the South. It's a spiritual rally. We should have a spiritual rally. And you know what it is again? Is that three years ago, when I learned about the preacher that was talking about the spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare that are in different countries, spiritual warfare that are fighting different cities, the spiritual warfare in New York City, the spiritual warfare in LA, the territorial warfare, the territorial spirits that are in the South, territorial spirits that's in UK. Every state, every country has a territorial spirit. And there is war in the spiritual realm. And that war is, some people wants to remain dominant and some people just will not accept that. And we will not accept that. So we have to fight in the spirit for the equality that we want to see. Now check this out. I've already identified the powers that are ruling. Okay? The powers that are ruling. If you're in a state, okay, when I was in New York, when I lived in New York, the spiritual powers that was ruling in Brooklyn was different from the one that was ruling in Manhattan, like the city. The one that was ruling in Long Island, you will see that when you get to Long Island, it's a little bit more calmer over there. Homes, people that can afford homes, people more calmer over there. Different from Bronx, the spirit that's ruling in the Bronx. Different from the spirit that's ruling in Staten Island. Those are what we're talking about. In Atlanta, Georgia, they have a place called Buckhead. There's a different spirit over there. There's another different spirit that's in Bankhead. There's another spirit over there. There's a spirit that's ruling Lawrenceville. There's a spirit that's ruling Snellville. You understand what I'm saying? If you don't get it, pray to understand. There is a spirit that's ruling the Blacks, African Americans, the Blacks from Africa, the whites, the Indians, the Asians. I will hear the Black people say, why can't We as Black people come together like the Indians are coming together, even, and it's not like all Indians love themselves now. No, but there's one purpose that they all come together and they focus on, and they get that stuff done. The Asians come and they have a purpose that they focus on, and they get it done. The Blacks. What's our purpose? Everybody have a different agenda. Everyone has a different agenda. And I think I know the reason why we all have a different agenda. It's a curse. It's a curse. Some people have broken the curse. And some people, you may see them, you may think they've broken the curse, but in actual fact, they've actually betrayed. They've betrayed their own kind. They've betrayed their own kind. It says Black African American people were brought over as slaves, and many died as slaves. Today, though their descendants were politically emancipated, they have not been spiritually emancipated. Many are still under the spirit of slavery. My church, Victory, I first of all want to say thank you to Pastor Dennis, because, and this is Victory in Georgia, he has been such a phenomenal example that not all white people are racist. He has been a phenomenal example. I think it was last year or the year before, he literally took a Black guy's shoes off and he washed his feet. He said, because he is not following a race, but he is following Jesus. Following Jesus. What Jesus has asked us to do as leaders is to serve, not to try to dominate. We're here to serve. So I say this again to the population that feel that they are better than some other people. You're not better. You're not better. You're not better. Because if you really, really, really thought that you were better, then you wouldn't be trying to get rid of Black people so much. So let's look at it this way. I bleed like you bleed. I hurt like you hurt. The only way that we can literally have peace is for also the white community. You guys also gather and rally around and pray that this spirit to always dominate, this spirit to always need to control another race or to control another human being, that this spirit would just come off of you people. And you know yourselves, it's not everyone. Because I have some amazing Caucasian friends. I have some amazing Caucasian friends, but you know yourself. Pray. If you really, really, really hate what is going on, fight that. Fight it in prayer. Fight it in prayer. And you, Black person, that refuse to be treated like you're just a piece of meat. It's another battle that we need to do in prayer. Many has fought it and they lost their lives for it. Many were beaten, many were killed. George, his own, was killed. He was killed. His life left him. Thank God, right before our eyes. Thank God for technology in that area, because I really don't like technology too much. Thank God for technology in that area. We were able to see. And we've been able to see a lot more of what's been going on. But seeing it doesn't mean that we didn't know this stuff was going on before. What have we done? Remember, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's what we've been doing. The same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. The only way we can win this battle, the only way we can win this fight is to fight it in the spirit. I'm waiting for somebody to call and say, you know what? We need to rally in prayer. We need to rally round and pray. I know some people who walks around a particular area and they will pray concerning the territorial spirits in that area. And they will be blessed. We need to pray. The territorial spirits on the blacks, on our race. We need to pray, because to say that this what happened now will not happen in the next year, 2, 10, 20 years. We need to pray. We need to get delivered. We need to beg our ancestors that died as slaves. They were ripped away from their place of abode, brought to a country that they never knew anything about, that they didn't even want to be a part of, that they didn't even want, like they didn't even know existed. You bring them here, you trick them, you turn them into slaves, you rape their wives, you turn their children into, and you think they died. You think they rested in peace. That's the word I've been looking for. These people have not rested in peace. They are still coming through in vengeance. It's like a territorial curse. They're even pissed off that you have turned their enemy into friends. But it's only because they do not understand. Okay. We have now made peace. We need to let our ancestors know. We've made peace. Let's make peace. Let's make peace with the spirit that are angry. In Nigeria, they have something called Ebo. Ebo is something that you will carry in order to plead to the gods. Sometimes I look at what I'm saying now and I'm like, my God. Could there be some of the reasons why God had me go to Nigeria to go and learn these things? They have something called Ebo. There are certain things that Black people used to do before we knew what Christianity is all about, before we were given Christianity. And it worked for them. The God of iron, the God of rain. Those gods exist. That's why we say that God is the King of kings. He's the Lord of lords. You understand? That means there are small lords. There are small kings, right? The thing is, God has given us power. And this power that he has given us cannot be dealt with in anger. It cannot be dealt with in anger. Let me tell you about a story that I was told at a women's conference. How the devil killed the prayer warrior. I tell the story a lot. How the devil killed the prayer warrior. Can you imagine someone who's a prayer warrior? You're a prayer warrior. She prays for other people and she gets results. She bind and loose and cast and break strongholds. That's what she does. And I wonder how does a devil take someone like that out? How? Do you know how? He had gotten her angry. He had gotten her angry. He had allowed someone real close to her. You know, they never use people that are not close to you. They use the people that's close to you. They use the people that's close to you to get you. They use the people that are close to you to get you. They use the person who is so close to her to get her angry. And as soon as he got her angry, the enemy was able to bring up cancer. I would have thought she's a prayer warrior. She should be able to cast that cancer out. But when you are operating in sin, you can't command nothing. When you are operating in anger, you can't command nothing. You can destroy, because that's what anger does. It destroys. But you can't make peace happen. You can't. He killed her. He made sure that she died. And this is exactly what's happening right now as well. Hold on. So she died. And from anger. So the thing is, what's going down right now is the fact that descendants of these slaves were politically, in a way, emancipated, but spiritually, we still pray in anger. We have church in anger. You will see that a lot of Black people will say, oh, a lot of Black preachers, oh, white people don't come into their church. White people don't come into their church, or we just have a lot of Black people in the church. You can't see a lot of Black pastors pastoring white people in the church. Can it be that if you're preaching what God says to preach, which is love, and not preach the anger of what we have, of what many has been through, because that's what church is for. Paul said in Romans 8 that we have not received the spirit of slavery again, but the Spirit of God, which makes us sons and daughters of God. We have to deal with the spirit of slavery because as a group, we have never been set free from slavery. Though the ones that were in slavery, though what they went through have allowed us today to be free, but are we really free? When you are a descendant of, are you really free? There's spiritual strongholds that are still happening. Spiritual strongholds that are still happening, that exists. We walk in the streets, I already said it, doesn't mean you're free. You got to break away from that spiritual stronghold. You see that Black people are always struggling, and the thing is, we want to blame and point fingers and say, oh, because of this person is the reason why my business is not going or doing what it's supposed to do. Because of this person is the reason why My family is not able to buy a house or be whatever. No, it's a spiritual warfare. You need to get delivered. And as long as there's no deliverance, look at the Red Indians. Look at the Red Indians. They're not even as much as the African Americans that were brought here. Look at the Red Indians. They have never prospered financially, socially, and spiritually because they're still practicing witchcraft. And because of this, many of them have still remained in bondage. They've still remained in bondage. So bondage is real. Stronghold is real. Slavery is real. As Black people, a lot of our brains, especially the Black African Americans that are here, those slavery days may physically not be here, but it's still here. This is the only thing that keeps you from being where you need to be, from getting to where you need to get to, from doing what you need to do. This. So we need to pray. We need to fight spiritually. I looked at what happened to the Jews. The Jews prospered everywhere they go. Everywhere they go, they prosper. We have been adopted into their family. Everywhere they go, they prosper. Look at the spirit of dominance. Look at the spirit. Someone who wants to dominate. So the Jews are prospering. The Jews are prospering. I hear you, Pat. I hear you, Pat. The Jews are prospering, right? And one man just came up, the spirit of dominance, the spirit to dominate, came up and said, who are these people? Having children like, they're all over the place. They're prospering. They're doing businesses. They're this, they're that. And what did the spirit of Adolf Hitler, what do you do? What do you do? This is how you would know there's a spiritual warfare. If you're not in tune with the spirit, you cannot know what's going on. You would think that it's black on white, it's yellow on green. It's a spiritual warfare. When I got that revelation 3 years ago, is when I started praying. But one person can't do it. I can't do it alone. I get busy sometimes too. We need to come together and make this happen. We need to fight in the spirit realm. We need to break all that needs to be broken in the spirit realm. We need to command the respect in the spirit realm. We're not angry enough. If this is us being angry enough, then we would definitely go into prayer. We would definitely go into prayer. Look at Adolf Hitler. He made sure. Do you know how many of the Jews he killed? Do you know how many of those Jews he killed? Because of that, Jewish people right now, they wear that. That's why they wear the black, because of the Holocaust. They wear that black to remind them of what happened to them. We don't need to wear black to remind us of what happened to our ancestors, because we are black. We wear this color every day. But we need to be reminded that our brothers and sisters, there is a spiritual warfare. And we need to come together and we need to fight in the spirit. Yes, it is. It's a virus. It's a spiritual virus. The man, the preacher that I said 3 years ago that even brought this to my attention, he is a white man. He says there's a spiritual, he said there's spiritual plague on the black people. He said because their ancestors were forced here and brought here as slaves, the slave spirit hovers around them. Hovers. So no matter if they become doctors, no matter what they become, even doctors, you sit down with some black doctors, they will tell you that they still feel that they're being discriminated against. They feel it. It's a spirit. You can be making trillions, or it doesn't matter. It's a spirit. 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 And you know what the amazing thing is, which is the most beautiful thing, is that for those that are not, for us that are not in the forefront, that we're not there fighting. We're not there fighting. We're not there like doing the rallies, right? Let's intercede in prayer. Let's begin to intercede in prayer, because Christians are significant at this time. As Christians, Christian churches, this is the time for us to be significant. This is the time. Why? Why? Governments have armies. The governments have weapons. They can fight against any nation. But only Christian churches have the power. Only Christians have been given the power to go into the spiritual realm and fight this spiritually. Only we've been given the spiritual weapon to intervene in the spiritual realm. Only Christians have been given that. So if you're a Christian, you have the power to go into the spiritual realm and to fight the spiritual war that's killing us. Because the ones that wins in the heavenlies are the ones that determine the course of history. Pat, I see you. What did you say here? Let me see. We need to come together and fight. Yes, we have separated us too long and made us fight each other for no justifiable reason. Yes. And by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. We have to break that yoke of hatred, enmity. It's not good enough against each other. Yes. They now have us fighting against each other. It's a spiritual warfare. When we rally around, let's rally around in prayer. 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 We don't want to be suppressed anymore. We want equality. Let's take it to the Father in prayer. Let's fight it in the spirit realm. Certain things that God knows that we can do, He ain't gonna do for us. He ain't gonna do for us. Certain things that He's giving you the power to do. Can you imagine now? I have children, I give them power to do certain things. You got hands, you can wash dishes. You got your hands, you can do this. You got a hand, you can clean the garage. After I done told you, you got the power, go take care of it. Then I'm gonna come and do it for you? No. Let's go in the spirit realm and let's break. Let's break what is breaking us. Let's beg the ancestors, the ones that died as slaves. We got it. We got it. We understand. We understand. We understand. We understand. We understand. We need intercessors. We need people that will intercede in prayer for our Blacks everywhere in the world. Everywhere in the world. Because the ones that were there before, somebody was saying, oh, the people in London, the Europe have taken everything away from Nigeria. We allowed it. The British are not ruling us anymore. We're ruling ourselves, and we're still not ruling. We're still not doing the right things. That's how you know. Nigeria was such a beautiful country. It still is in some places. But there was a time where we were very, very, very okay. Very okay. But I truly believe that the slaves that were ripped out, the children of the land that were ripped out of Africa, that cursed, sent back curses, sent back people that betrayed them. Because you will look at it, Blacks, when it comes to Blacks, it's always a thing of betrayal. Something of betrayal. Something of betrayal. There's never a community of come together, let's do this. One person out of everything gonna try to betray, try to do something. Anyway, I've taken a lot of you guys' time, but I just needed to throw that out there, that overall is that we need to come together. We need to break the stronghold. We need to break the stronghold. They put laws and this together and that together. That's not what we're talking about here. They still killing us in the bushes. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about spiritual warfare. That's what we're talking about. Check out the Jews. They've come together. They've built a community for each other. You can't even know what's going on in their community. They so tight. They so tight. They quiet. They silent leaders, silent controllers. We need to pray. Our future depends on it. Our children depends on it. We need to intercede in prayer. Princess Pat, I think we need to call a rally. We need to do something. We need to pray. We need to stand up in prayer. It's been going on for a while, it hasn't changed. This right here, we need to pray. Thank you so much. Thank you for being on. Thank you for supporting. I just needed to get it out. It was just a lot in me that I'm hearing what everybody's saying left, right, and center, but nobody is talking about the spirit of what's really going on here. That's why I need to get out there and pray. I need to get out there and say it. So yes, I'm going to try and find a couple of people that we can start praying. We can start praying, and I'm praying that it will just continue to go on like that. We need to start praying. Even all African countries, descendants of Africa, everybody, descendants of Africa. Africa is one of this, it is, if not the richest soil in the whole world, if not the richest. But there's a spirit that's trying to break Black people, rip them apart, kill them. Because we're strong. Why would somebody come after you all the time? It's because you're strong. Anyway, thank you so much. Take care, my love. God bless you all.